Today we will be talking about evaluating empirical articles. First, let's look at some important terms. Academic journals or articles include articles published by experts in the field for other experts in the field and are considered objective. Peer-reviewed articles are frequently placed in academic journals. This means that the article has been reviewed by a panel of experts who have approved it for publication. Empirical research is a term that refers to research which involves data from actual observations or experimentation. The primary audience for empirical research is other experts. And empirical research contributes to an ongoing discussion of important issues in the field. Empirical research is found in academic journals. So, how do you find academic articles? First, you can check our library website here at the university. You can use databases such as PsycInfo, ERIC, or Web of Science. Let's look at a PsycInfo search to see what you might see. If you pull up an article, you can tell immediately if it's from an academic journal. You can also narrow your search to refine your results and focus on only scholarly articles. I would do this after you've found good search words. Once you've found an article in one of the databases, you have a lot of options to keep that article. You could print it, email it, get the APA or MLA citation, or even download the citation to a reference software manager. Some of these reference software managers are programs like EndNote, Zotero, and Mendeley. There are lots of others out there, and you can use any one you're comfortable with. The library here provides trainings for Zotero if you're interested. Next, we're going to focus on the 6 key sections of an empirical study. We have the abstract, the introduction and literature review, methods or methodology, the results, and the discussion or conclusion. Last, the article is finished up with the reference section. Let's first look at the abstract. The abstract is a brief summary of the study. It lets other researchers know if their research is relevant to their research. When you read an abstract, you should first skim it to see if the article fits with your research topic. If it is a good fit, then read it again and break it down into the different parts of the study. Moving on to the introduction and literature review. These describe the research problem, summarize key research to date, and show a need for the current study. The end of the introduction and literature review will also state the research question and the hypotheses. I would recommend first reading the first and last paragraphs of the introduction and the first sentence of the other paragraphs. This will help you to identify the research questions and hypotheses. Remember, these will be at the end of the introduction. It can also help you to note sources that will be relevant to your own research topics and interests. Let's move next to the methods section. This describes how the experiment was conducted. I would skim the methods to identify the participants the measures, and the procedure. Don't stress out too much about the statistics. What I would suggest doing is imagine that you are a participant in the study to make the experiment more real to yourself. Next, let's look at the results section. The results section describes the findings that have been reached through the analysis of the data. The results section often includes charts and graphs, and when you read it, you should skim it, looking at those charts and graphs especially, to identify the findings. Don't be scared by the statistics or the tables. You don't need to understand every detail of them to understand the key results. Next, let's move to the discussion or conclusion. This summarizes, suggests implications, and explains the importance of the findings. I would use the same method for the discussion as you did for the introduction. Do a quick skim to help identify what the findings tell us about the research topic. You can also look to the discussion to find suggestions for the practical use of the findings. Last, you'll see the reference section. The reference section includes the full citations for all the sources referenced in an article. It can be very useful to skim the reference section. You can use it to find sources for your own research and to look for the full references for any interesting sources that you saw mentioned in previous sections of the paper. So, a four-step reading strategy when approaching empirical articles involves step 1, reading the abstract, step 2, skimming the introduction and discussion, step 3, skimming the methods and the results, and finally, step 4, reading the introduction and the discussion in depth if you discover that the article is relevant. That's all for today. Thanks so much.